Utkarsh, let me know when we can start the session.
Sure, sir. Just a minute. We can start, sir.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. Yet another knowledge learning session from GSTZen. Today's session is on handling notices. And notice is something, an interesting topic, an important topic. Every taxpayer at one or the other point in time would have received a notice from the GST. Now, whenever we are saying a notice, all that we are saying that we are not saying that something is wrong. It is an intimation, clarification, or department wants to know something about you. So notice is, as I said, is not something that you have done something wrong. It is a clarification department wants to have. And we at GSTZen always have an endeavor that taxpayer, especially three things. Number one, taxpayer doesn't get a notice inadvertently by filing a wrong data. So have a right complaint so that you avoid system generated notice. At GSTZen, we have the second endeavor wherein if there is a notice that has come, is he aware or the information is it being available? Though I have avoided a system generated notice, but there is a notice, am I aware of what it is the second endeavor. The third, which again all the three we are going to discuss today, the third is if there is a notice, is there a guidance, how I have to reply, what I have to reply, is our third endeavor. So today's discussion is about what are the things that we do to avoid the notice, how do I track, detect, and identify the notice. Third, having received the notice, what is the next course of actions and how GSTZen can help in this regard is what we are going to discuss. So to start with, my name is Venugopal. I'm a practicing chartered accountant. I've been in practice from last 23 years. I practice in GST, indirect taxes and technology. With GSTZen is an GST Suvidha provider and application service provider. GSTZen helps the taxpayers in regularizing their compliances. There are around 18,000 customers who are handling their GST compliances through GSTZen. You will find all types of customers from a listed entity to a small entity who are using the cloud-based application to file the GST compliances. Special thanks to Utkarsh and team consistently conducting the webinars, bringing the knowledge sessions to the customers of the GSTZen. With this note, let us dive into today's webinar on notice management. And what we are going to look at is what are the different types of notices that are there, what is the timeline to respond to notice, and how to respond to the notice with by when and how do I respond, and what would be the impact when you don't respond to the notice. During the session, my colleague Akhila would also walk you through as to how GSTZen, the technology, can assist in handling this. I've been a biggest advocate of using technology. I always tell people that you should invest your resources in having technology because we are living in the world of technology. If you continue to use certain things manually, you may end up not doing everything completely. So I am not saying that the technology is going to replace human beings. This constant conflict always there. People are worried about the GPT or other things. One point I would like to say, because I always talk about technology, one point I would like to say, human beings who are using AI, who are using GPT, who are using technology is going to replace the human beings who are not using it. It is not that technology will replace the jobs. People think, including the software professionals, programmers, they think that, okay, what now the programs are done by the GPTs and other things, what would happen to me? Definitely, those people who are using the technology are the one going to survive and live. They are the one who will be replacing others. And it is applicable to even to an accountant. If you think I am a typist, I am a good data entry operator, today there are voice to text. On your phone, you just read something, it gets converted. Same applies to GST litigation management thing. Like I have received a notice, I ask system to respond to it. System is going to give you 10 points. You will add 5 more points of yours and make a reply. But if you are doing your own reply, you may end up giving only the 6-7 points. You will miss out, let's say 3 points you will be missing out. Not good, right? So using the technology is the order of the day. Let's start. First, why a notice would come. There are principles of taxation. Even if you get a notice, there is a demand of tax that is happening. They are asking to pay some tax. Now, whenever a tax is being asked, so that means there is a charge, there is a levy. Let's say I am in the business. Let's look at the recent one, the popcorn. I'm sure everyone were been hearing about 5% the raw popcorn, 12% the salted one, 18% caramel. It is not a new tax that has happened a month back. It's not 55th GST Council which brought this. Sweeteners, savories are taxed at certain things. So the color of the product changes 1 to 1. Now, being unaware of it, you are, let's say, taxing at 5%, department is coming asking you to pay 18%. Your plea saying that I have classified it into this way or I have collected only 5% will not be a plea. So classification to identify a right rate of tax and valuation to determine the value on which it has to be charged. And if you are claiming some exemptions, you have to fulfill the exemptions grossly fit into. The general advice is whenever you are in doubt, do not err on the SSC side, err on the revenue side. You think payable, not payable, pay it, collect it and pay. GST is not direct tax. You are not paying from your profits. You are collecting and making the payment. Having said that you are collecting and making the payment, the collection is a value added tax. So your customers who is further into the business, they are also not at loss. They are going to take it as an input tax credit and they are going to further pass it on. So government is only getting the value added. So the process of the collection by the government of the tax would cover the payment of tax which you are paying under a self-assessment tax under section 59, then audit by the department under section 65. And if there are other assessment by the department, which is the best judgment assessment 62, 63, and review of the returns that are filed 61, and also there are demand recovery proceedings, other things, other various charging sections which are inviting the levies that are going to come. The types of notices, it could be registration related. So whenever you are making an application for registration, you will get a notice seeking some information or adding your additional place of business. Composition scheme related notices, refund related, ITC related, non-filers, audit, inspection, assessment, demand and recovery, movement of goods, and penalty. These are the various categories broadly you can think of the notices. When you go to the government portal, you are not going to see it in this way. There is a notice section, additional notice section. There has been a judgment saying that why is this confusion and can it not be classified? Let's firstly understand what is a notice. Is every document that is coming from the department called a notice? Or is there a separate show cause notice is different from a notice? Now, notice is an information. You can loosely call it as an intimation. Is a summons letter issued under section 70, is it a notice? Now, this is where the confusion that arises for many. I am now today talking not from the legal language, I am talking from a procedural language. Any communication that you have received from the government, which is precisely GST and department, is a notice. It could be a show cause notice. It could be an intimation why this levy cannot be happening. It could be a form titled as ADT01, ASMT10, some letter, something that has come. So rather than being worried whether it is a notice, not a notice, you being aware that information has been called for and it has to be furnished is something that you have to get. When you are coming to a professionals like us, we will actually know whether this is an intimation, this is show cause notice, by when you should reply. But you being aware that every document that has come has some information that is being carried on, passed on to you, and you have to respond to that is the first and fundamental thing you should be knowing. The predominantly, there are three things which you should be aware of. Section 67 of the GST Act, which is on inspections. Section 65 of the GST Act, which is talking about audit and other procedures. Section 61 of the assessment, which is talking about the scrutiny of returns. These are the three broad categories. 61, scrutiny of returns. 65, audit. 67, inspection. 90% of the communication from the department begin, I will not say end, begin from these three sections, 61, 65, and 67. Scrutiny of returns, audit, and investigation. Where do they end? They end in the demand and recovery, which is under section 73 and 74. Today, we are going to deal with these important things. Let me start with section 65, which is an intimation to conduct audit under ADT01. ADT01 is an intimation document. They'll say something like this, that I wish to audit your books of accounts for so and so financial year under the provisions of section 65. Whether I might want to come to your place, do a visit and do the audit, or you please come to my place. I'll be sitting in so and so desk. I will do a desk audit. You please get the books of accounts and I would review here and do it. Unlike the erstwhile era, where under VAT service tax, a different process where people either used to come or used to go, that is not the same under GST. Yeah, this is the first thing that you should be aware of. Next, what is the whole chain and process of the audit? Firstly, who are the one who will be picked for the audit? This is where GSTZen, I said, will come to your first rescue. Whether returns are scrutinized, even when the returns are scrutinized, the notice is a system-based, system-driven notice. That means you are giving a notice because you filed some information wrongly. What is the information that can go wrong? You have reported GSTR1 turnover as 1 crore and 18 lakhs, but while reporting in 3B, you said that it is not 1 crore, it is 10 lakhs and 1,80,000. You are correcting it in 3B. Ideally, you are supposed to correct it in GSTR1A. So if something is wrong, then there is some system-based parameters that come. So what we are now looking at, what are all the system-based parameters that will come? So first, 1 versus 3B. Second, 2A versus 3B. 2B versus 3B. You will get a notice. You have reported some items as a permanent reversals, some items as temporary reversals. What is the difference? Your availment of credit is in 4A of GSTR 3B. While some credits do not belongs to you, you have reported them either in 4B1 as a permanent reversal, 4B2 as a temporary reversal. The value which is there in the temporary reversal is to be availed and claimed at one point. Technically, that is not a reversal of the credit. You have parked your credit for a future utilization. You choose not to utilize now, you will fulfill conditions of 16 subsection 2 and use it later. So your 1 versus 3B and 2A versus 3B and some temporary reversals, you will have these reasons. One more reason is non-availment of credit. Now you may say availment of credit, I understand I am getting a notice. I'm not even availing the credit. Why am I getting this notice? We all know GST is a consumption tax, destination based consumption tax. The state which is consuming will get the revenue. Let's take a scenario of I am here in the state of Karnataka and I have purchased a motor vehicle. We all know motor vehicle is not an eligible credit. I am a chartered accountant for, let's say we have taken a small motor vehicle for our office staff to go to the department and come. Now that is an ineligible credit. Knowing that it is an ineligible credit, I have not even availed. But how does the state government of Karnataka get that credit? Because somewhere the credit has lapsed, has to be attributed to those respective states. So between the IGST settlement process of the center and state, this is purely admin issue. The IGST settlement process of the state and center, the government would also, the GSTN portal would look at how many 4B1 of the respective states the credits have been lapsed. Let the credit be transferred to those respective states. Now, whether it is right mechanism, dot mechanism, I'm not talking there. I'm saying that the state governments will call you saying that you have not taken so-and-so credit. Please take those credit and reverse. Please take the credit, and they will start with a soft threatening, end up with an other issues that you have violated the procedures in which you have to comply. I am levying you a penalty of 50,000 rupees. This is another thing that would come in. So there anything system wise you have to do, you have not done, this case would be picked up for the audit. So it has been picked up. Once the audit is picked, you will be issued a notice called ADT01 saying that, hey, I am coming for the audit. How many days? It can't be like today issuing and tomorrow they're coming. They'll give you a 15 days time and saying that, okay, in 15 days, either I will come to you or you give me the information. And just because they have started the audit, it is not an endless. They have to complete it within 3 months. And if they have any findings or observations, they'll be giving you in ADT01A. You will make your replies to the department, and their findings would also be given in ADT01B. Finally, audit concludes. After the audit is concluded, within 30 days, they have to issue an audit note, which is called ADT02. These are all documents which are prescribed in the law. Now, why are these numbers are important? Because if you are getting any document from the GST or GST portal, it will have a title. If something is a wrong title, you can be rest assured that the proceedings are wrong. After this, the demand recovery proceedings will come. I will explain on this later. This is on your audit related procedures that are going to come from the department. Now, what is that they will be demanding? They will be demanding tax, refund, or ITC. This is what they can demand. How will they demand? They will demand by issuing a show cause notice. By issuing a show cause notice. Now, when they are issuing a show cause notice, they will be they can go back up to 5 years if it is relating to fraud, willful misstatement, or suppression. it is up to 3 years if it is a normal proceedings. When we say 5 years or 3 years, this is from the annual returns. Please note, from this financial year onwards, there has been a change in the procedure. Earlier, we had section 73 and 74. Now that has become a new 74A. So 3 years, 5 years from the due date of furnishing of the annual returns. From the due date of furnishing of the annual returns. So the show cause notice has to make an allegation saying that the tax is not paid, short paid, or ITC wrongly availed. If it is on account of fraud, it is 5 years. Other than fraud, it is 3 years. This was the position all this while. Now, they would be issuing a notice if it is fraud 6 months before the order, other than fraud 3 months before the order, they will have to issue a show cause notice, SEN. And in the department terms, in the letter that you are getting, it will be called as DRC01. So you may call it a show cause notice, but the document should be titled as DRC01 to fulfill on these provisions. I've just given you a snapshot of the timelines. There's like the timelines pertaining, if you look at it, for the financial year 70, for the under section 73, all right? Under the section 73, we are already in 2025. That means anything up until 2019-20, there is no liability that can be created reason other than fraud. But for 17-18, you have a time limit on account of fraud for an order to be issued by February 25. Of course, notice should have been issued to you by August 24. That means the old procedures or the old law is still open for 18-19 onwards. For 1890, from 1819 onwards, the old law is still open that you need to be looking at. These dates are applicable for the assessments that are going to happen maybe a year, 2 years from now. After that, it is a new section 74A. I'll briefly touch upon today, but we will deal with it as it comes in. Now, these timelines are important. Why are these timelines important? Now, these timelines are important for a simple reason. If you are getting that respective notice, I said it as DRC01, after the specified date, or the order, which is DRC07, after the specified date, then the document is as good as invalid. There is a concept called Limitation Act. Now, people may say, is like if nothing is defined, there is a 3 years limitation. Now, when there is a defined, there is a respective definition goes. So now there is some dates that have been defined under the GST law. If you are not complying within the dates that are mentioned under the GST law, so that the action taken by the department is like null and void. I'll give you a simple example. In the financial year 17-18, in the financial year 17-18, on the implementation of GST. Earlier, I was under the VAT, or earlier I was not under the VAT, nothing. I was not aware that I have to pay GST. Now, I am doing business. I thought my goods are exempted. I am selling, let's say, sugar, rice, dal, everything. I am thinking that this is food items, general essentials. I was not supposed to register is what I am thinking, because I'm selling to the common man. My turnover is 10 crores. I still did not register for GST. Now it came to the light that you did a business of 10 crores. You sold sugar, rice, and oil. Some are exempt, some are taxable. Government cannot now go back eternally and start demanding the tax. So the timelines which you are seeing are very, very important. Now, some of the timelines were struck because originally these dates were there. Department later has gone to the government and the GST Council, sought an extension saying that owing to the COVID. In fact, they will always get lenience. That is another problem in our country is The timelines for the taxpayer, if it is 3 months, the timelines for the department is always given, say 6 months, etc. And knowing that, okay, they have an extra time, still, which they haven't done it in the well within the time, they have got 2 times the extension. Honestly, in the principles of natural justice, I will say that this is wrong. But it's law is a law. We cannot do anything. So you have to always go by the extended timelines that are there in the law. Moving further, the basis for section 73 and 74 is only the reason is fraud, suppression, and willful misstatement. Now, what is the tax, interest, and penalty? There is no change in the tax. In both the cases, tax needs to be paid, but there is a change in the penalty. What's the penalty? If the notice has been issued under section 73, that means reason other than fraud, I will have to pay tax and interest. There is no discount. But if I am making the payment of tax within 30 days of the show cause notice, I will not have to pay any penalty. But if I am making the payment after OIO, means order in original, if I am making the payment of the tax after the order coming in or after 30 days, then I will have to pay a minimum of 10% of the tax amount as the penalty. This is something you should know. While section 74, which is dealing with the reason for fraud. Now, again, mind you, I'm all telling about the old provision. Why I'm still talking old provision is at least next 2 years, we are going to deal with the old provisions only. Though from this year, there is section 74A that got introduced. It is people will be giving an audit assessment notice under this section, maybe after 2 years later. So still one should be aware of it. Let's say someone is issuing a notice under section 74, then there is first minimum penalty. You have to pay 15% penalty minimum. There is no penalty here, but there is a minimum penalty of 15%. Like after 30 days, how you have 10%, the 10% is now becoming 15 plus 10, 25%. And within 30 days of the order, if you are paying 50%. Now we ask what happens if I pay after 30 days. If it is after 30 days, you will end up paying penalty equivalent to tax. So 100% of the tax will be treated as the penalty. These are the another important provisions, so one should be aware of. All right. Let me just clear this. Now, procedurally, what is that I should be doing when I get a notice, or what are the legal remedies that are there? Now, our notice has to be issued by a proper officer. Every provision has a different proper officer. Audit will be done by the audit officer. Inspection will be done by the search and inspection different officer. Scrutiny of returns would be done by a different officer. E-way vehicle interception would be done by a different officer. Not everyone for you is the same officer. Point number one. Point number two, just because he has called, you doesn't need to stop your business, you doesn't need to stop your marriage, you doesn't need to miss your health, medical appointments, everything. You will always have an opportunity to seek an adjournment, and you can seek up to 3 adjournments. 3 times you can always say, hey, look, I am unable to come, request you to give me another date. You can also request for a virtual or a physical hearing, both are permitted. Next, notice cannot talk something, order cannot talk something. Like you, continuing that example of sugar, oil, rice, which I am selling, and during the course of the notice and other things, they have done the adjudication that everything has been taxed at say 12% or X%. But while finalizing the order, they realized that it was a mistake from their side. No, that something has to be taxed at 12%, something has to be taxed at 18%. They cannot now issue an order with a higher demand considering that there is a new knowledge they have got it. So they cannot come into the department light a new information. Order cannot travel beyond the notice. So the department cannot go beyond whatever which is given in the show cause notice in their final order. How should the notice be? Firstly, it should always notice, order, everything has to be a speaking order. Again, department has been still in the learning thing. I hardly see any notices and orders coming in a speaking order, which means someone reading it explicitly understand what they are trying to say. Many of them are cryptic, or many of them have a copy paste of whole of section 16, section 17, or rule 42, or some section 9 and something copy paste. Hence, I am proposing this without even application of mind they do, but honestly, that's the fate. You still, if the title is correct, English is lang, you still have to live with it. So you have to get firstly in the specific format. But if it is not, let's say the notice is saying a show cause notice, but it is not titled as DRC01. You under 160 subsection 2, you have any objection to the notice, you have to first speak it out. If you are acting on a wrong notice, like notice was not given within the time, notice was not properly titled, notice was not clear as to why they are asking you to pay tax, either they want you to reverse ITC or pay tax, you are not clear. But you said anyhow, let it be department, my friend, why should I go fighting with it? You acted upon it. Having acted upon it, then this notice will become a valid notice. Please remember, if you are acting upon an invalid notice, that invalid notice will become a valid. You cannot go back and question while you are going with an appeal with the commissioner or the tribunal. Sir, this notice is void ab initio. This order is void ab initio because originally they did not service it. They did not service it in my name. You cannot go back and now start making a plea at a later point in time. This is something that you should be looking at. And how should they serve the notice? Can they give in anything? In fact, there are 17 different ways of doing it. They will give you email and courier or speed post. Speed post plus this is like only one of two, two of two, multiple modes. There have been multiple modes that have been given. Physical delivery, registered post, electronic, print media. Any of these modes are modes which the department can choose to act upon in issuing the notice. One or multiple combination of this. There hasn't been a settled judgment saying that there should be minimum two mediums. If there are any two mediums, then I would say the due date is like when were you aware as when you got the last communication. Let's say it has been served on the email and also electronically uploaded on the portal. Now, what is the effective service and effective communication? Is the date on which the post has been done or date on which it is received? The answer is date on which it is received. Likewise, they have sent an email. It is valid when you have seen the email. They have uploaded on the portal. It is valid on the date on which you have seen the email or you have seen the online port. People may ask, how will one know sitting somewhere? How will one know when did I open the email? I may tell it has gone to the spam, right? So that is where I am saying that there are no settled positions. But in the physical delivery, it is very clear the settled position is not, let's say department knows there is a timeline by 31st January, I should have sent a letter. Now, they realized this in March 25. They cannot now, in the month of March, put a letter dated 31st March and post it to you. You will always have a copy. So first and foremost thing that you should know is you should see that when did I come from the audit trail and the mail trail. You have to ensure that see when this has come is what you have to see. The registered post or speed post date, everything that you have to see. Now, before now dwelling into how do I reply to the notice, how do I get on to the validity, correctness of it, how do I correct it, I want to take a pause now. Feel free to put your questions, whatever you have your questions. I would now move on to the system. Now I've said what are the types of notices, what should be the penalty, and how you have to check. How you will have to reply, I will come back after looking at the solution which then developed by GSTZen, wherein you will have an effective modes of looking at the notice, replying to the notice, everything. I will now request Akhila, my colleague, to just walk us through whatever we have discussed so far. Walk us through how GSTZen, a system, can help us in making this available. Akila, over to you. In the meantime, friends, if you have any questions, feel free to put your questions in the chat box. We will take those questions appropriately. In fact, Balaji Ravi is asking this, just communications are done over the phone. Phone is not a medium of communication, so it is not a valid communication. You can think it is an additional communication, but it is, if you have someone saying that so and so notice to be replied by so and so time, otherwise it is time barring, answer is no, it cannot be. So what we are doing is, let us log into GSTZen. It's a compliance with just one click. So once you log into the GSTZen, you have the dashboard, which will be actually showing you all the features that are there, especially filing the returns. Let's say you're a CFO, you're handling 10 companies, GST and India of all the 10 are visible. You're a tax practitioner complying for 100 clients, all the 100 clients you will be able to see. You can select any one place, you are selecting that notice, and you can, what actions you can do, you can actually download reports, you can reconcile the data with the government portal, you can file returns, all those features are there. But what is more important, what we are showing today is notice management. On the right side, you can see there was a, just can you go back, Akila, please? Yeah, the right side, you can see there was some 11. So something is there. So you can automatically see some data is synchronization happening with the portal. Yes, Akila, over to you.
So this is a dashboard of a particular GST number. You will find the notice management here. Once this notice management option is clicked, this is main dashboard of the notice management with a beautiful calendar option where you can see like which notice has issued on which date on a calendar. Here you can see how to log into portal to refresh the notices. You can see the status of as logged out here. If you click here, you can log into portal. You have to give the username and password along with the captcha. You can click on refresh notices. It will fetch the notices from the government portal and you'll find the notices here. It is categorized as per the government portal only, like demands, notices, orders, applications, intimations, like what are the different categories available in our government portal. All the categorization has been done here. If you click on notices, you'll find notices and additional notices here. In similar way, if you click on applications, you'll find applications. If you click on intimations, you'll find all the intimations like intimation done through DRC01A. And any demand is created in your demand tab. That also will be shown up here. You can also see in the calendar also. You'll find
Akila, your voice is a little low.
better now.
Yeah.
So you can find number of notices issued on a particular day here. If you want to act on any notice, you can click on the notice. You can click view option here. you'll find the note. You can download the notice by clicking on download PDF. This is the notice issued. Just a minute, I'll pause share and share again. Yeah. Once you click on download PDF, the PDF got downloaded and it got open. You'll find the PDF. Here. This is notice and the annexure to that notice. If you want to summarize this notice, what is there, you can click on summarize button. GSTZen software will summarize what is there in the notice and
the
give
next
you a
beauty of this is even before you are going and talking to your management, your consultant or someone, you will automatically get the contents of the notice has automatically summarized for you. This is the notice so and so has been issued so for so and so period, and the reason is some input tax credit or whatever, some outward liability, everything, and what is the quantum, everything is available with you in tips. So you don't need to physically open the document. The system is going to do it. And it is also saying, hey, your reply should be submitted by 29th January. This is the date you should make a reply. All those information it is giving you. Again, as I said, use the tool to automate the basic needs.
So we have another option called generate reply, where a pre-drafted reply shall be generated based on a notice. You can use this as a draft and you can add your points and you can improvise your reply. This is the reply. And if you want to know more about this notice, we have integrated the GPT with this with our tool, where you want to know more about the notice.
So this is the advantage. Now you can start interacting with the tool as if it's your buddy. So now you can ask more questions. Can I know more about it? What do I do next? Or who is the authority who has issued? You ask to it. You talk to it. It is going to talk to you and it is going to answer you. So she is asking, is this reversal of ITC or additional liable to be paid? Now it is going to start interacting with you, saying that, hey, this is for this. Maybe you can scroll down. Yeah, this is coming that the notice mentions after verification of input tax credit, it was determined there was a difference amount for which the taxpayer is liable to pay along with it. So whatever is there visible in 2A versus 3B, that is not there. Or you can talk to the system and get to know more about it. Now this is another advantage of having interacting and having an interactive GPTs with you. Yes, okay.
So you can give n number of prompts to understand better about this notice and you can ideally prepare a reply using this GPT also. Like you can get the references. So as I have shown you, this dashboard is of a particular GST number. We have an autopilot option, being a chartered accountant or having a CA firm. If you have you are managing multiple GSTs, you can have check the notices for multiple GSTs at a time. You can click on download notice here.
So can you see? I have given like 41 of, can you just scroll up, please? Scroll up.
Yeah, 41.
So 41 of 41 GST numbers which I am processing. I want system to download all the notices which have been received for this SSCs. I want to see which are the important thing, and it will come up in a calendar. So please go ahead.
Yeah, once you click a start, it will ask for username, password. Once this password is given and captcha is entered, it will process and it will give you the notices. It refreshes the notices from the government portal and it says in the dashboard of a particular GST number.
Can you just show the calendar of the notice once? So once the data is fetched, you will be able to see on the left side, you can see the demands, orders, applications, intimations, those 11, whatever we are saying, into a different category. And it will also show up a calendar. Just stand and be there in somewhere. No, we are going too fast, Akila. Just leave at one place, okay? Now you can see this green color. The green color was representing the orders. So there was an order that was issued in July 24, and these are the things. Like first time when you're opening and you haven't seen, so it will be showing as new. And once you have read it, you can change the status. You want to put it into draft, you can mark it into draft. You can do all those things. So either it's a calendar view or it can be made it as into only the tab. So once you have acted upon it, mark it as resolved. Make it as red moments, please. Acknowledge here. There is an error while saving the status. That's okay, no problem. So you will automatically know which are the new things and which are pending things. You can see either it in the calendar or you can see everything, all notices one place, orders one place. If you log into the government portal, you will always have this challenge. Where do I find? There are different sections in the government portal. You will not be able to trace. Here is one place you will be easily automatically able to navigate and trace it.
And you can click on notice tracker to get the list of all the notices for all the GSTNs at one place.
So you can
directly
see
download
qua GSTN, qua an account. So I can see all the notices in one place of all the clients together or all the group companies, or I can only see for under one GSTN, one category.
You can also filter by GSTN or notice type also. Over to use.
All right, great. Thank you, Akila. So now what we have seen is why notices would come. How do I trace the notice? How do I summarize the notice? How do I reply to the notice? And how tools can assist aid in doing it? How do I respond to this notice? Firstly, while you are making a response to the notice, so we have seen use the technology, use systems so that you are in control of all the data, all the returns, and you know what is the notice. So always have copy of the notice with the relied upon documents. What do you mean by relied upon documents? Notice is not coming out of the blue to you. You are aware why notice is coming. Maybe your predecessor don't know or successor don't know. Audit happened. After the ADT01, you have submitted some information. Post ADT01, along with the information that you have submitted, the notice has come. Keep the receipt of notice. The notice could be dated 1st March, but you have physically received on 15th March. That is more important. List, how did you get to know? You saw it in email, someone has come personally and given to you. Has it come from Tapal? Have it. See who is the one who has issued. There is a jurisdiction. In fact, in the chat, someone was asking that I am assessed with the center officer, but after I am filing amnesty scheme, SPL02 is referring to the state officer. So look at who is your GST authority who has issued. Has it the right person who can issue it or not? You should know. Look at the notice. Are you the right person to receive it? Just because in a business complex there are 10 offices, I am also sitting there, doesn't mean that the notice has been handed over to me. Sometimes most times the department does copy paste in a Word document. So they would be copying some other's content under your name. Even those instances also happen, and it is possible. So please look at that. Are you the right recipient of this notice is also another important thing. Please look at it. If you have already done some communications, replies to the earlier thing, gather that what is the information that you have already submitted, relied upon, that is also more important. If there are disputes and undisputed items in the notice, sometimes department would be convinced about some of the points and they have dropped. So you also have to make a point that these points notice said that yes, they are okay with it, but when it went to the order, they forgot to drop it in the order. Have it more clear. Once when you are all clear with it, is when you will have to start making a reply to the notice. When you are making a reply to the notice, how do I have to make a reply and what should be the structure of the reply? Do not make an assumption that the person to whom I am making a reply, he is aware of it, because notice is drafted by someone, order is drafted by another person. The person to whom you are going to an appeal is another person. Again, come down the factual sequence. Audit happened, you gave the replies, show cause notice came, you gave the reply, order came, the pre-consultation notice and notice came, you gave the reply, finally order came. Again, these points which I have stated also, they have not considered. Make it as a case sequentially, fact by fact, and make your reply. So introduce yourself, introduce what you do, the sequential fact, and start your objection. Why you want to object it? What are the issues that you want to be addressed? There could be a situation there, out of 5 points, you are agreeing with the 2 and alleging 3. Make it a submission, separate each of it. Never group all those you have agreed at one place, all those you are alleging at a different place. Don't do it. Go sequentially. They have given you 5 points. Start replying to the 5 points one by one, point 1, point 2, point 3, everything. Lastly, make sure that you make a prayer. Many times I have also seen that people think that, yeah, I am saying that I'm not okay with the way the order has been drafted. All that is fine. Finally, what is the relief you are seeking from the higher authority? That is also important. You cannot just like that assume that they are aware of it. Some of the questions people always ask is, do I use a legal judgment in my replies? Very difficult answer. I will never say yes or a no. It is a tricky and trivial thing. Always use the legal judgment if the case perfectly suits you. Otherwise, take the analogy of that and do it. But very important thing, go to the GST council meeting minutes. If there is a change, something has happened, you should read the council minutes. They would have explained why they are taxing it in this way. See if there are any circulars of your case which will be suiting you. See if there is an industry practice and universally something is followed by the industry. Because many times when the amendments happened recently, if there is an industry practice in one way, the amendments also comes on as is basis. That means tax should have been at 18%. Some are not paying it, some are paying 5%, some are paying at 12%. Government with the amendment is coming as is basis. That means effective today, you pay 18%. Historically, whatever you have done, I am going with it. Whenever there are conflicting judgments, there is a benefit of doubt. You can never be proved as fraud. You can contest the section under which they have drafted and think. In fact, there are many cases the government is losing because they are quoting a wrong section. So on again, comfortably, they have said that if I issue under 74 only your problem, you will fight with me on 73 and you will withdraw the case saying that it was not within the time. let me merge everything and put it into 74A. That's a new thing that they have started. And the last thing which I want to tell about is the 74A and 128A. These are the two new sections which were introduced. 74A is merger of 73 and 74, wherein the time limit for issuing the show cause notice is now moved to 42 months. Earlier, the order should be completed by so and so time, and 3 months before, 6 months before, the notice should be issued. But now it is show cause notice will be issued within 42 months. 1 year from the show cause notice, the 12 months from the show cause notice, the order will be issued. So effectively 42 plus 12, 42 months plus 12, 54 months, just less than 60 months. And they have also got 6 months further extension. That means they got 5 years, 54 plus 6, 60, all the 60 months they have now obtained in this new manner. This is another thing that you should be aware of. Penalty, there is no change in the penalty thing, but the 30 days thing, they have changed it to 60 days. So instead of 30 days, it has become 60 days. And the procedure also has been given. That's one amendment you should be aware. Second amendment, there is an amnesty scheme. Rule 164 read with section 128A. Notification 20/24 gave effective from 1st November. Someone have an eligibility to seek a waiver of interest and penalty under the last 4 years, first 4 years of the implementation. If it was a bona fide mistake, it was not delayed payment of tax, but there is a bona fide mistakes, and I'm fighting the case. So before the tribunals come in, department want to rest some of the litigations. So they said you will be eligible to withdraw the appeal if you have. Withdraw the appeal, make the payment of the tax, interest and penalty is waived off. If you have already paid the taxes under DRC 03, they have given GRC 03A to appropriate and show that this payment has happened. However, these cases are not applicable to 16 subsection 5 and 16 subsection 6 cases. What is 16 subsection 5 and 6? This is with regards to late availment of input tax credit. So government, after Tirumalakonda plywood case, where people had a genuine bona fide reason why they could not take the ITC availment and filing 3B within the time. So many writs were filed before many high courts. The Telangana High Court has rejected the plea of the SSC and said, no, you should have filed within the time. Now, this was also causing issues. Many high courts matters are there. Even if another high court gives the judgment, matter is with the Supreme Court, there would be long standing issues. So the government itself has now relaxed ITC availment 16 subsection 5, and 16 subsection 6 is when your registration itself cancelled. Many times you will see the registrations get cancelled suo motu. So if that has happened, you can always go back and say that when you're restoring, the time limit of 30th November would not be applicable to me. Yeah. So friends, these are the various points that I intended to discuss today on the notice. Let me just recap. One, notices could be in any form, any manner, any time, or any reason. Always read the appropriate title that is given in the notice. Read the timelines within which it has to be issued. Use the help of technology. With the technology, you can be more effective and productive. We have seen in the demo how on a click of a button, you will be able to see notices that have been served to you on the system. On a click of a button, you can download the document. You don't need to log into the government portal. The same document can be analyzed. Someone can summarize and give you what are the contents of the document. After having summarized, you want to make a reply, give a button, it will help you in making a reply. You want to understand more about it, you want to talk to the system, is this notice valid, genuine? You can always look at it, right? So what you have done is seen as a quick glimpse, but you need to know more about it. You need a demo of it. You can always reach to the support number 7406 441122 and write to GSTZen support team support@gstzen.in. If you have any technical queries, you can always reach to me, venu@venv.ca. We have our GST updates WhatsApp channel. You can always scan this QR code and subscribe to the GST updates. We don't spam anything other than GST. You will always get it. If you have any questions, put your questions into the chat. Perfect. We are at 4:01. We are well within the time. Let's look at some of the questions that people have. So Balaji said about phone communication. We said not applicable. SPL 02 only applicable, appeal withdrawn only. No, SPL 02 is whenever you have whenever you have orders. So situation of orders, you will file SPL 02, and notice stage, you will file SPL 01. In the presentation, date of issue of SCN for the financial year 2021 is dated as 28th November. Is it 30th November or 28th November for the financial year 2021? Yes, you are right. It is 30th November. The due date for passing the order is 28th February 25. But the issue of notice is by 30th November 24. Jagdish, you are right. Anthony, we have received DRC01C and DRC01. So DRC01B and DRC01C is system generated notice when there is a mismatch between 1 and 3B or 2A and 3B. Basis that they will be issuing a pre-show cause notice using DRC01C. And if you haven't replied within 7 days, DRC01 will be issued. Now, what is the timeline department may take if no further action is done? So if you're not taking any action within 30 days of the notice, you're not making any reply, you would automatically get, if you're not taking any action, you will get a demand order. Perfect. Cost of the software is pretty reasonable, very nominal price. You can subscribe to the plan. You can always reach to the support at GSTZen.in. Utkarsh would be able to assist with you. Perfect. Yeah, these are the various things. Thank you so much for joining with us, being here. And this session is recorded. You can always watch it at a later point. You will get the copy of the presentation for your future reference. Good day.